Hi, this is Junaid, founder AINeurocare.com. Glad you can join us for this course, Decide Wisely, a guide to choosing a medical specialty. This particular section will tell you why change has itself changed completely. And the change itself is rapidly changing. We're not going to see the pace of change as slow it is today. There's going to be a complete, radically different healthcare, which we're going to see today. And this is due to the digital transformation of healthcare in itself, with examples from the industry, where we have seen finance, entertainment, even education industry are going through a complete transformation because of this. And conceptually, what we need to understand is Industry 4.0 and how it is going to transform healthcare into 4.0 as well. So before we completely restart this course itself, this is sort of a conceptual mindset that you need to understand. However, Industry 4.0 is different from Healthcare 4.0. And the real difference is that in industry, the main interactions are between machine to machine or human to machine. However, in healthcare, major interactions are between human to humans or even multidisciplinary teams. So the transformation takes a little longer, transformation takes a little bit more effort because it's a cultural change, not just a workflow change. So therefore, in medicine, this particular transformation has taken more longer, and more importantly, it will continue to take a little longer as compared to other industries, but it will come. And the question really is that how will you prepare for it? The two biggest issues are, number one, exponential growth of knowledge. Now we're saying that the medical knowledge is doubling about 73 days or so. It is going to be even faster given that we have faster analysis, faster data, more robust data that is coming in. And our ability to churn that data out is also significantly different as compared to 10 years ago. Therefore, there will be an explosion, a further explosion of medical knowledge. And the second issue is, of course, as I said, is technology. Multiple different devices like healthcare IoT, artificial intelligence, blockchain, etc. These technologies are going to come, and physicians need to learn the limitations of these particular new devices, new technologies, to better understand and serve their patients. This will eventually lead to a healthcare reform, and that's already in shape. For example, telehealth, nobody used to reimburse that, only telestroke was reimbursed. And now we're seeing that there is an openness from both Congress and Senate to actually completely reimburse telehealth at all levels, including federal and state, which is a significant change. And these further reforms are going to continue to make health form completely transformed into digital. That's just what I'm trying to say. Like, if you really look throughout the history, the two major companies that were at the pinnacle of business were either energy or military. And those two were considered the best investments at their time. Now, if you would see that there's complete shift towards data itself. Those companies who have high quality data are considered the pinnacle of business investment. And you can see companies like Google, Facebook, Apple, Amazon, not just because of their technologies, which is important, but also that they have amassed a massive amount of data, and that is considered more valuable than gold and oil. At the heart of all this is artificial intelligence. What we have seen is that there is no way you can churn that all data into different technologies that are going to be usable and consumer friendly. We need that data to be analyzed and made into wisdom, so that data turns into information, information turns into knowledge, and knowledge turns into wisdom. So artificial intelligence is at the heart of all the disruptive technologies that we're seeing. And we're going to discuss Industry 4.0, its basics, and why its digital transformation has literally transformed industries after industries. If you look at, let's say, hospitality business, it used to be hotels. They had to own their particular buildings and then that infrastructure itself, and then rent out the rooms as it is. Airbnb completely disrupted the whole process. It was able to create the largest hospitality business without owning a single room. Same thing with Uber. If you see, they do not own a single car. However, they're the largest taxi company. If you look at Alibaba, which is the largest retail store in the country, and actually in the world, especially from business to business is considered, it ships directly from China and creates a new market connecting two different consumers or businesses. It's radically different without, again, owning a single retail store. Same thing with Amazon.com, you can see the same thing. And then lastly, Facebook, which is the largest, technically a media company, does not own a single piece of content. This radical sharing economy, this radical digital transformation has changed the way we have inherently doing business for the longest time. What do you think how healthcare will be? Do you think that the future of healthcare will be as we see it, or there will be a major disruptor that's going to really change the way we deliver healthcare and also consume healthcare? Because as patients, we are actually demanding more and more services faster and more digitally enhanced. Now let's define what's Industry 4.0. There are 4 generations of industry that has been from this Robert Klaus book. That was fantastic. It's going to be included within the references as well. It is a confluence of different technologies that enables a transformation, that enables new core technologies. The phase 1 or the stage 1 of Industry 1.0 was the invention of steam engine. It generated new economic activity by really increasing the productivity of, let's say, the weavers. So the amount of cotton that can be turned into clothes was significantly changed by that particular invention, which was the steam engine. And then we moved towards the assembly line production system, in which was invented by Ford. In that, what happened was that we were able to increase the productivity and production of any economic value and improve the particular output significantly by creating an assembly line process. The third and the fourth, in which we are transitioning from, the underpinnings were mainly the internet, computers, and increased communication, etc. And then eventually we're moving to Internet of Things, where everything is connected to the internet and we are interacting in a cyber physical system. We are really seeing healthcare IoT as well blossoming right now, where blood pressure monitoring, continuous glucose monitoring is now possible, connected to the internet, and physicians are able to respond to it more faster. This is no longer the future. This is actually a future in the making. The underpinning, of course, is at the end of the day finance and economics. And what we're seeing is that the economic value that it has driven consistently and constantly. And we're seeing that the first industrial revolution increased the efficiencies, then the second, and then the third, and now we're creating a new increased efficiency paradigm that will create even further at a global level massive economic gains. And again, at the end of it is what we consider convergence. Convergence of different disruptive technologies that are working together to improve efficiencies and creating economic value. And at the heart of it is, at the end of the day, artificial intelligence, because everything else is collecting more and more data, and you need to churn that data constantly in real time. This comes from Peter Daniels' book that he talks about the D's of Industry 4.0. I mean, the first and foremost is digitized. We talked about it. I mean, everything is getting digitized. Nobody's actually booking airline tickets via phone calls or even, Airbnb. Whatever you're doing is actually digitalized, and it's harder and harder for older folks to actually compete with them. And the reason behind it is that by definition, this increases efficiency. You do no longer need that many call centers. You no longer need so many people helping out with a simple basic process that can be automated. So digitization leads to automation. Demonetization, these are in both ways. Number one is clearly that the capital requirements have gone down. The capital is cheap itself. That's number one. And number two, by itself, because of the disruptive technologies, the actual value of things are actually down. I mean, if you look at TVs, computer screens, etc., the real value, the cost of things are completely going down. And we're going to talk about it in the next slide is more. Dematerialization means that anywhere in the world, globally, wherever that material can be sourced, is sourced because of the communication and possibilities of getting source material from one place to another is faster and easier. And therefore, the materials that were needed are now cheaper and available much faster, which leads to a decentralized process. Right? I mean, iPhone is made in 20 countries. My particular video production right now is done my virtual assistant is sitting in India. My graphic designer is in Philippines. My editor is in Pakistan. Literally, the whole process is decentralized, and this particular production is coming from 4 countries right now. So this decentralization enables people to get work around the world, and for people like me, busy professionals, to be able to do this. So decentralization is another key underpinnings of Industry 4.0. And then this leads to democratization, right? I mean, everyone can basically vote from their wallet, or at least have a conversation in different online groups and have their opinions. So this definitely is a global democratization and decentralization in the process. And finally, this is important. This is so disruptive. What I mean by that is that nobody really thought that Airbnb is going to take off like that. I mean, literally it replaced, from a value perspective, the most important hospitality company, period. Same thing with digital cameras right now, right? If you look at Kodak was stuck in manual photography for the longest time. The digital photography creeped up and just completely replaced the whole industry. It is so disruptive in its potential, and it's very deceptive. You don't even think about it that this is going to be such a huge change, and suddenly the change is upon you. As taken from Peter Daniels' book, Future is Faster Than You Think. Again, all this will be in the notes as well. Talking about decreasing cost. I mean, there's a significant cost decrease overall moving forward. Number one is computation. Processing powers has increased significantly, and the cost of processors have gone down. Storage, both hard drives and solid state drives, including cloud storage, is constantly going down as well. Bandwidth, I mean, I used to pay a significant amount of a crappy internet service. Now it's amazing to see such greater services for such low price. Gene sequences, it used to cost up to $1 billion, and now that complete human genome sequences is about less than 2,000, and people are predicting that we will be able to get to less than 200. And as I said, the cost of capital is going down as well, because the capital can move so fast. It can move from countries to continents, and therefore if you have a great idea, you can get it crowdsourced, or you can get it, a good bank loan from anywhere in the world. So therefore, the cost of capital is also going down. In the last few sections, we discussed change in itself has changed. We discussed Industry 4.0, how Healthcare 4.0 differs from Industry 4.0. What are the different set of challenges specifically facing healthcare in itself. Now we're going to discuss what truly does it mean by digital transformation and Healthcare 4.0. Let's take this example. There are multitude of different ways to represent this, but let's just start with Industry 4.0, where the consumer is at the center, and what we really need is agility. And that's the new term in management: agile transformation, agility, etc. What it really means is that we want to be able to react to market forces. For example, if you're creating a bag, that bag in itself, you don't know if it's going to be a hit or not in the market. It's going to trend on LinkedIn or Facebook. You need to make sure that you are able to reproduce that particular bag that is actually now trending, and you're agile enough to be able to produce that particular demand and meet those demands in time. And that's where you need customization, you need that particular competitive advantage, and this will give birth to manufacturing 4.0, smart factories, which are going to be consumer centric. Now let's apply that to health. Health 4.0, and at least in this example, mainly means that we're going to transform the current model of sick care, where disease-specific interventions are needed and the consumer is replaced by a patient. In this situation, the key innovation that we're looking for is stability of that patient and outcome improvement. And in that situation, you really need precision medicine, clinical optimization for that particular place, either in critical care environment, acute hospital environment, etc. So when you're delivering that care, now the personalization, the customization is precision medicine, and in which a lot of multimodal, multidimensional data, including genomics, radiomics, optimized laboratory medicine, etc., will come into play. So that's where the sick care portion of the health comes in, while the bigger portion, the majority of the healthcare in 4.0 really determined by the care portion of things, where the wellness is the key, in which the patient is not the consumer, it's actually the person itself who is community is engaged, where he's himself with their patient and the family is engaged into its own wellness. That also requires a significant amount of personalization and customization according to the person's genomics, according to the patient's microbiomics, according to the patient's metabolomics. All these things are going to play into what we call a true full picture of health and care. So that's why this particular reference actually dissects it, and therefore I like it in this way, and therefore I wanted to present it in this particular way as well. So truly the digital transformation is going to be on the same processes: customization, optimization, agility. In industry, it's the consumer; in health, it's the patient; and in care, it's the person. Now let's talk about industry example, like I talked about it before. We are really looking into a system where a service management, a self-management, and network management. Now, let me explain this rather than using these terms. So for example, we know that Amazon, let's say, creates a product, exercise shorts. Now, exercise shorts are being worn, and we know that from past data that, analytics that, like, come March, it's going to be summer, and then the demand is going to increase. So we know that, we're going to call our factories, the smart factories are automatically going to churn out more, summer clothes as compared to winter clothes, already happening. However, they can even respond more further. Let's say the governor of Colorado decided that, he's going to restart reimbursing all personnel who is actually active in terms of exercise. The healthcare cost should go down. Therefore, all health insurance companies are now required, according to the governor's law, to reimburse active people. Guess what? Now the demand is going to shoot up because there's a new law in place. Then smart factories are going to be able to manage that, able to meet that need just in time, which is amazing. And these are the things that are, to be honest with you, quite frankly, at least in the industry is concerned, is starting to roll out and happen individually. These similar kind of just-in-time manufacturing smart factories are going to now turn into medicine. So for example, there is an asthma patient. Now that person can actually use pulmonary function test devices at home which are internet connected. So this way they can actually know themselves that they are having increased asthma attacks, while simultaneously recording on their database on their smartphone that how frequent their attacks is and how more severe their attacks is. As a matter of fact, there are now devices or algorithms that are now able to measure the inconsistencies of your breathing pattern through the microphones of your cell phone. So this is amazing. All this information can go into smart cloud infrastructure where, as a community, it can be managed in terms of like increased pollen count, increased air pollution, and then the smart factories are going to be able to increase the production of inhaler and distribution of that inhaler. As a matter of fact, if an individual person is having problems, an inhaler can be eventually delivered in 30 minutes via drone. So this kind of personalization and digital transformation that we're going to see can only be enabled by massive amounts of data that needs to be churned through artificial intelligence. So what we are seeing is a complete digital transformation, and the catalyst for this remains to be the data platforms, care management, and enabling in a more cohesive network way in which Internet of Things is going to be central with data analysis through artificial intelligence. In the last few sections, we discussed about how change has changed, how Industry 4.0 is going to translate into Healthcare 4.0. And then we looked at digital transformation, what it really means in healthcare. Now we're going to talk about the impact of pandemic on the digital transformation in general and medicine in specific. Now, pandemic is a very bad situation that we all had to live through. This is once in a century event, but we are probably going to see the reverberating impact of this particular pandemic for the next 100 years. The only silver lining is that how it brought the limelight to digital transformation of healthcare as the urgent need of the time. There's a famous quote by Lenin: there are decades where nothing happens, and there are weeks where decades happen. Very interesting, and unfortunately, the transformation that we are going to see due to pandemic is the catalyst that, to be honest with you, we all needed, especially in terms of healthcare. It unearths significant inefficiencies and inequalities in the healthcare system in general, which will bring about significant trends of future of healthcare. Number one is reform. We have already seen openness to reimburse virtual care. We have seen equity as one of the key essential portion as healthcare for all. We're going to see a significant expansion of healthcare technologies, including artificial intelligence, virtual care as we see, and other health IoT services. We're going to see another next generation of managed care acceleration in which capitation rates are going to be there. We're going to truly reimburse value as compared to activity or fee-for-service models, and we are going to disassemble the disorganized, decentralized way of doing things. Rather than this fragmentation is going to be replaced by integration. It doesn't necessarily mean centralization, it means integration. So most of the different portions of healthcare that are now disorganized, disintegrated, are now going to be integrated in a way that all the data is assimilated for the care of the patient. Now, this is not just for healthcare, right? I mean, digitization in general got a quantum leap forward just because of the pandemic itself. The contactless care significantly evolved, and as simple as swiping a credit card was changed by NFC, payment systems. We have seen that a significant shift in digitization has already occurred. The e-commerce, of course, is one of those categories that got a significant boom. 10 years of e-commerce that would have taken 10 years to get there only happened in 8 weeks. Telemedicine, 10-time explosion in 15 days. Remote working is significantly, now, to be honest with you, remote working is now considered the norm as compared to previously. As a matter of fact, if you look at the new updates from Google Calendar, it actually states that home as a place of work, as you could choose, different office locations on your calendar, you can choose home as one of the locations. That's significant change. That literally the calendars itself, the infrastructure of calendars are being updated to include this significant change. Remote learning has already been getting accelerated, MOOC models, and now it's going to be even further. And of course, online entertainment, everything is moving towards streaming and online, including education and entertainment, as you can see right now, looking my lecture over YouTube or different platforms online. Now, the biggest change has been the willingness of the customer to interact. That is where the key cultural mindset shift is. This is where the behavioral change is, which is the hardest thing to change. When the customer itself is interacting with you digitally more and more, that is where the real shift comes in, because the minute they start interaction by default via digital means, that's where the true change comes in. And we have seen that significantly, especially in North America and also globally as well. So the interactions between customers and industry is becoming increasingly digital, which is again a behavioral shift that sometimes take decades to make. The largest leap always happens in the services that have already been digital. For example, Amazon, eBay, etc. Those are the companies that benefited most, including me. I work for a telemedicine company. We saw an explosion like no other just because of the COVID. It's bad, but unfortunately, in times, those companies that are already digital, I have been working remote before COVID for 2 years, providing telestroke care. For me, those already services, those learning that I already had before the COVID significantly improved my career progress just because I was more prepared for it. Similarly, those companies that were more prepared in the digital era had the most amount of gain in that process. This turned out to be a significant mindset. There was one mindset that I talked about, the consumer mindset. The other mindset is the executive mindset. So, hospital systems initially were not akin to turning into virtual care. Now, hospital systems are calling by the dozens to companies like VMed and others that, we need a virtual care strategy. This mindset at the executive level is amazing to see. And this mind shift that has happened today is not going to go away. It's going to continue. The vigor may be different, the challenges may be different, the pathways of implementation can change from 100 times to 1x, whatever that may be. The capacity and the velocity of change may be changed according to the times and financial availability, but the mindset is there. This is not going to go away. The digitization now has become a priority in executive minds. And this is the new normal, right? I mean, you work from home, you learn from home, your communication and information infrastructure is built at home, shopping and consumption is already there. I mean, I get groceries from Amazon Fresh, Walmart delivery, etc. Life is at home, and play and entertainment clearly has been with, massive explosion of online education, online entertainment, and online gaming. And clearly, we're going to see that health and well-being is going to continue to be more digital and potentially more so from home. And we're going to talk about this a lot more when we move forward. Again, all these references, resources are available on the website. Please check back again for updates, because I'm going to regularly update with new data and new information. If you save a life, it is as if you saved the life of mankind. Please make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much.